Hi folks, welcome to another episode of Methanol Madness brought to us by Daltons Landscape Supplies. I've got AJ Batt in the studio, the voice of Ruapuna. AJ, great to get some racing in the weekend.
Yeah, it was, and what a night's action we had.
Yeah, it was a Canterbury Championship meeting and some spectacular highlights which we'll review later on. Joining us on the show as usual is Louise Smith. Louise, you were looking at the feature races from the infield. How did you see it?
Yeah, the feature races were very exciting. It was a great night for everybody.
And a real highlight with Matthew Leversedge and Connor Rangi fighting out the Canterbury Championship feature race. On the show tonight, we make an announcement for our last man standing. We'll find out who our 8 sprint car drivers are that will compete in the pursuit for loot. We catch up with our 2 American drivers visiting our track at our next meeting, and we speak with a YouTube Speedway sensation. So to get the show started, it's our Crash of the Week brought to us by Elite Re-Roofing, Mike Bell and his roofing guys for all your roofing needs. And AJ, we take a look at Charlotte Speedway and a pretty frightening ride here for sprint car driver Zeb Wise.
Yeah, of course, we know Zeb pretty well, having raced down there at Ruapuna in the midgets a few years ago, but I think what this highlights is that on those great big racetracks, the margin of error is fine, but the consequence is pretty deep, and the car there with a jammed throttle after it, and yeah, Zeb was pretty banged up, that little bit of high-speed contact into the unforgiving wall, and she's all over Red Rover.
Yeah, I would say that throttle was jammed on as he was coming down off that corner, and absolutely frightening moment on those big tracks. They get up to 160, 180 kilometres an hour, over 100 miles an hour, and Zeb just a passenger there. And we're watching that car just really trying to slow itself down. And some news out of America, a big announcement that Zeb is actually perfectly fine after that crash. He did go to hospital for a wee while. But you can see how quick these sprint cars really travel around the bigger tracks. You were at Charlotte, mate. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I was there, and the place went pretty quiet when that happened.
Yep.
You know, like the race fans over there are exceedingly knowledgeable, and they know when to sit down and make no noise, and then they know when to yell and cheer. But the place went very, very quiet, and you know, there's a lot of concern for Zeb. They did take him to hospital for observation and so on. But later on that night, there was an announcement that he was in pretty good shape, which is surprising considering the impact that he took.
Well, a real frightening moment there for Zeb Wise. Crash of the Week brought to us by Mike Bell and Elite Re-Roofing. Catch up with Mike and his team for all your roofing needs. Well, time to move on to the Value Cars Warehouse review of the night, and it was Canterbury Championships for all classes. And the first class we'll look at was the quarter midgets. Louise, we'll get your thoughts here. And they had some pretty good racing. Tell us what the results were like.
Yeah, another really good night and another big field for the quarter midgets as well. And we saw those rookies really improving once again, with Caden Simmons receiving driver of the day. But it was Jack Brownlee's taking out another Canterbury Champs feature win, with Cohen and Lakin finishing second and third all the way from Greymouth. So another good result for those boys as well.
Yeah, some great racing. Jack Brownlee's didn't really have it his own way, with the Thompson boys really giving him grief on the feature race, which was great to see. Of note, Jackson Clark pulled out fastest lap in one of the heats there, 19.3. He was faster than anybody on the track. And Cohen Thompson in the feature had another fast lap there, 18.7 seconds, which was quicker than Jack Brownlee. So plenty to be proud of there, Cohen, and a good result for you to get second in the Canterbury Champs. The second class we'll look at was the TQs, and some pretty good racing here, Louise. And of course, your brother Ethan was outstanding in his heat races and managed to get second. I'm sure the SN Racing team was pretty pleased, but give us your take on the TQs for the night.
Yeah, again, another really good race with the TQs as well. They're a very competitive class, and they know that they've got their title coming up, so everyone's gunning harder than maybe they would usually, just to get those results full. But definitely another good night for Ethan. He's having a lot of success in his new car, so it's great to see him finish second on the podium there. But it was James Thompson who took out the win, his second Canterbury Champs, so he defended his title very well there. And Scott Bailey with the third place, who once again is always very competitive, and we saw just how fast he was in that heat race a couple of weeks ago at Ellesmere.
Yeah, Scott Bailey, no surprise here, but Ethan Smith, congratulations to you, Ethan. I think I said you were 17 on the commentary. You're actually only 16 years old, so he's driving that car pretty well, AJ. And the other surprising result was Isabel Clark. Now, Isabel Clark was a quarter midget driver last year, and she stepped into the TQs for the very first time. Isabel had the fastest lap time in one of the heats there, 16.3 seconds. So pretty good result by the SN Racing team there, AJ.
Yeah, I think that, the inevitable happened, but the pace that Isabel set in those early stages was really good, and she has bought into the TQ class, the track skills that she developed through the quarter midget racing, and she was just as smooth as silk. And by the end of the season, she's going to have a couple of heat wins at least under her belt.
Yeah, a great result by you, Isabel. Keep up the good work at the track. The next class we'll look at is the V6 wingless sprints, and lots of aggression here, AJ. They were banging and crashing their way right through to the feature race.
Yeah, old Shooter Hawkins, when he won that first heat race in such convincing style, I thought, here we go, it's going to be the clean sweep for him tonight. Yep. But Chris Bailey, what a revelation, and here's a guy that is relatively new to the class, and he's getting in there, hooking that right rear up onto the cushion, and he did overcook it a couple of times, but he showed some real pace. And the wingless sprints, they're becoming a revelation, especially with numbers. As the numbers build, so does the action and the intensity. It's brilliant.
Yeah, look, it was a great night of racing for those guys. And as you said, AJ, Chris Bailey was outstanding. He's just a rookie this year, and he found himself on the front row of the feature race, going for the Canterbury Championship. A little inexperienced. He didn't quite know how to handle the restarts. He actually got relegated to the back of the field, and I see that he almost got himself up to third. So he's a good wee peddler there. But the official result was Kane Jemmett is our new Canterbury champion. A whole lot of crashing and bashing going on in the feature race, and it was Kane that made the best of that, got himself to the front, and was very hard to beat after that. Second was Harrison Brown. Congratulations to you, Harrison. You made your way all the way from Invercargill. That's about a 9-hour haul or something. And Harrison took out second with another rookie for the year, Bailey Clive. Some pretty good pedigree in Bailey's name, the Clive name of course, and Bailey got third in the Canterbury Championship. Well, the next class we'll look at is the Access Man Midgets, and it was pretty good racing again here. AJ, what do you make of it all?
I really felt sorry for Mitch Hill. His progression this season has sort of followed on from what he was doing towards the tail of last year. And he was just unlucky to hit that cush just slightly wrong, and of course he's damaged his car. Jack Lowe very quickly re-establishing himself as the king of the kids in the midget car class. Tom Lumsden, the XB4, when that thing is on song, it is absolutely going to take some catching.
Yeah, you're right. I still think Tom Lumsden's probably the faster driver out there, but Jack Lowe showed all that experience he gained by being with the Sea Mountain Racing team last year and racing with the North Island competitors. 14.97 was the fastest lap, and that was by Tom Lumsden, of course, just proving that XB4 custom-built engine has got all the horsepower in the world. A little disappointing for Liam McCoubrey. I know he was trying to go for his third Canterbury Championship in a desperate attempt in that feature race to really get himself towards the front. He gave up that position to Ben Morgan.
Yeah, he tried hard, but you've also got to take your hat off to Ben Morgan, doing double duty, the TQs and the midgets. And he's as fit as a buck rat, isn't he? And he just gave that thing everything. So, another one of these young drivers that's rocketing his way up through the ranks.
Yeah, it was a good moment there for Ben. He took out the TQ heat and then stepped into the midget and took out the heat win there as well. So certainly pushing his physicality to the very limit. The next class we'll look at is the sprint cars, and just a small field of sprint cars for the Canterbury Champs, AJ, 12 of them, but the racing was pretty good.
Oh, like the field was light on numbers, but by golly, she was talent stacked, wasn't it? And we got glimpses of every one of those drivers that was out there. And you had Jaden Dodge doing his thing, the sheriff, and when he saw his opportunities, he took them. We had Jacob McIntyre making the journey up from Invercargill again, and they come up here because they know they're racing against the fast guys, and that's why they do it. Jamie Duff had his chance, I was super rapt for Matthew Levisage. You know, they came home a little with their tail between their legs after taking a beating or three up in the North Island, and it wasn't a beating on the track. You know, they had a lot of gear damaged up there, and he showed some real class in that feature win.
Yeah,
but how close was that final with Conor Rangi?
Oh, it was. And Lou, I'll get your thoughts on this in a moment. For those that were watching, it was pretty processionary, the whole feature race there until the last 5 laps, and Conor Rangi threw a slider in, which I thought was going to take both of them out of the stadium, to be honest. But it was Matthew Levisage that showed all that experience, and I'm sure he must have had some thoughts about crashing another car, because he put 2 cars into the wall over the last 2 weeks, as you just alluded to. But that was such an exciting finish. I remember hearing the crowd going up, and everyone was so excited to see that win. Louise, you were watching it from the inside. What did you make of that moment?
Yeah, there was a couple of nail biters there where I thought for sure that they were both goners, or at least Conor was going to kind of swipe the front out of Matthew, but they were very lucky. They're both very talented racers, so I know that Conor knew what he was doing and obviously wasn't going to do anything intentionally, but he definitely wasn't going to give up, that was for sure. But a really well-deserved win for Matthew and that whole team after everything they've been through the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And if Conor Rangi's got that sort of form under his belt, then he's going to be a real favourite for the last man standing that's coming up, which we'll talk about very shortly. Lastly, AJ, I'll get your views on this. The atmosphere was great at the track again. The real family entertainment's kicking in, and the show's getting through nice and quickly. 3.5 hours, we had the whole show put to bed, and people were going out the door at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's no longer just a night at the Speedway. It is an entertainment package, and you've got the T-shirt cannon doing its thing now, and it's just a really great vibe, and that's actually what it's all about. And tracks all around the world are slowly but surely waking up to the fact that the number of people who just want to go and watch some dirt track racing are actually diminishing, but the number of people, as economies and that tighten up, who want a night out that's relatively affordable is going up. And so they're finding, hey, we are going to get a really good night's entertainment at Ruapuna. It's comfortable, a great stadium, great facilities, great food, great racing. It's just the total package, I believe.
Yeah, like we've always said, it's the last old school entertainment venue, and T-shirt cannons going and lolly scrambles and kids running around. It was interesting to watch the kids going left and right as the cannon was going left and right, and you just don't see that at entertainment venues anymore. The whole PC brigade's got out there and said you can't run around, but not so at Ruapuna Speedway.
Yeah, kids want to have fun. That's ultimately it. But mum and dad also know that when they're in that environment that their kids are pretty safe. And try doing that at a lot of other places. It's just not going to happen. Hats off to everyone that's contributing to it, because it's an absolute pleasure to sort of look out that window and see it happening. Yeah,
Louise, again, you would have been looking from the infield there. Great to see the stadium full. The fireworks that are going off as well, which is a regular feature at Ruapuna, is great. And those podium interviews are going down really well with the crowds as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of improvements happening all over the stadium, but even as a young kid, like obviously we all grew up at the Speedway, and watching all those little kids kind of run after the lolly scramble and running around up the back with their friends while the racing's on and things like that's kind of what it's all about. And I mean, we all remember doing it when we were kids, and it's how we were brought into the sport, so I think it's really important to keep that going for them.
Yeah, absolutely, and we intend to keep that moving forward as much as we can out at Ruapuna Speedway. Well, look, folks, time to take a break, but after the break, we'll catch up with one of the biggest YouTube sensations in sprint car racing. Welcome to Wellington's largest caravan and RV shop. CB Caravans and RV Centre look after repairs and maintenance, and they are leak specialists. CB Caravans and RV Centre import UK caravans. Need to sell? They can help. CB Caravans and RV Centre, your caravan solution. Catch up with Will and Wendy today. Well, folks, we promised you an interview with a sprint car driver who happens to be a YouTube sensation, and joining the show right now is Tanner Holmes. Welcome to the show, Tanner. It's great to have your face on Methanol Madness. We all know you as a sprint car driver, but more importantly, you've got this wonderful YouTube channel that's going, and tell us how that come about, and how do you manage to do that as well as be a sprint car driver?
Thank you. Yeah, first, appreciate you guys having me on. It's really cool, that you guys are doing so much down there, down in New Zealand. Yeah, to answer the question, so I started doing the YouTube thing about 2016, so a little over 7 years ago, and I just kind of started as a 13-year-old kid. I think a lot of kids now more than ever, they people ask what they want to do, and they want to make videos of some sort and be a YouTuber is kind of the word. But I was just one of those kids too. So I wanted to make videos and whatnot, and I didn't really know that at first. I just enjoyed making content, which turned into really using the YouTube platform. And I quickly realized that, hey, maybe with what I do in dirt track racing, people might find this interesting because I was fans of other people online that, did unique sports. And I feel like, dirt racing is a unique sport and a lot of people don't know about it. And it's one of those things that if an average person went to a dirt race, I would say they'd probably be hooked. So how I saw it was every video I was making is, trying to get that new viewer, hooked, try to get someone involved and help grow the sport and, help grow my race team. So that's kind of where it started in 2016. I guess with all that being said, that's not exactly what I thought in the beginning, but that's what it kind of evolved into. And now that I've gotten older and, matured and, kind of realized more what we're all trying to achieve, that's definitely the direction it went.
Well, it's been a very successful process. I mean, 70,000 viewers on your YouTube channel, but more importantly, you've probably heard this many times before, what you've really done is you've opened up dirt track racing and sprint car racing to the average fan. And it's been a wonderful journey. I mean, I remember watching you a number of years ago. I thought, who's this kid in America? And they kept coming up on the YouTube channel, and we all got hooked, mate. We catch up with your sister Carly, who's a sprint car racer as well, and we all sort of know your dad, and we sort of sometimes see your mum there. So it's an unbelievable story, which is probably going to have a real long-lasting effect in the sprint car world. But more importantly, we got to see you progressing from the early days of getting into a sprint car, and you were battling away, and we even got to share in your successes. And if we look at it in the last year or so, this big step up to Shark Racing, what an opportunity that was for you guys, and that was wonderful to watch because you don't really edit it. We get to see you good, bad, and ugly. It's a heck of a ride and a wonderful thing to do. Tell us about the Shark Racing experience for you.
It was crazy, and it was cool that for us, like this whole opportunity ended up being something that kind of my whole family got to go along for because they've been here for the whole entire ride. When before 2016, before there was any cameras and anything filming what we were doing, we always just went and raced as a family. And then now fast forward to 2023 and I was running my family car, and we were just at Knoxville Nationals, and I say that casually, at the biggest sprint car race in the world, Knoxville Nationals, and we had ran, and it was the final night, and then Bobby Allen had approached me about to potentially run for Shark Racing and see if I was interested, and we quickly got it all figured out, and I was just as surprised as everyone else. You always hope and dream for an opportunity like that, and for it to appear, at a very unexpected time for myself. We had ran good, but you just don't expect something like that. There's not as many rides out there nowadays as there once was. So to get that chance was great. And it was, an awesome experience. We had some good nights, you had some bad nights, but that's part of it. I think, it's a big eye opener when you get to the World of Outlaw level and you're there consistently. Before I had ran World of Outlaw shows, but you run for a couple weeks, you maybe get a second off, you come back, this or that, and you get a chance to consistently be working on your program. But when you're racing with the Outlaws every week, like we did just for 2.5 months, 25 races, it's a lot different because you're consistently in the game of racing with the best. And it's easy for your speed to go up and down. You go to new places, you go places you're good, you go places you're it's a little bit tougher. So for myself, I feel like I learned a lot about myself as a person, as a driver. I got to experience and see if this was, is this really what I want to do? Which I would say, it is. I got a taste of every side of it. And I got to see how Shark Racing runs their team, which is also such an incredible story because they started from literally nothing. And now they're one of the top sprint car teams in the country. And they still, I would say they still work with a little bit less maybe than I guess, you could say other teams or whatever, but they're just as fast, they're just as competitive, and they have just as much heart, if not more than anyone else.
Well, you're quite right about Shark Racing. We got to see Bobby Allen and all the behind-the-scenes stuff there as well. And we know that Logan Schuhart and Jacob Allen were the normal drivers there. It was so impressive to watch you get quick time in a couple of races. And then, even though it was disappointing for you, when it started to tail away, we got to see how hard you had to fight for it. So I think the format, the YouTube format, is wonderful to expose what sprint car racing really is about. And I've got AJ Batt sitting beside me. He's our commentator at the track, Tanner. His question to you is something like, how hard is it being on the road, going from race meeting to race meeting? I mean, you're 20 years old, man. You've given up your whole teenage years to go sprint car racing.
Yeah, it's tough. I got to experience it in a couple of ways. One with Shark Racing, where luckily, one of the cool parts about the situation I stepped into is they of course they have a team built around it. So I didn't have responsibility as far as having to upkeep with the car and make sure it was ready. So I was very thankful for that. But I had the experience of being on the Outlaw Tour and what it's like as a driver, and really being able to focus on being the best that you can be, which was great. I think that's where most guys excel. And obviously you have, I don't want to say as little on your plate as possible, but you're just going out there and you're working on being fast and what it takes to be fast and being prepared and mentally and physically. But also with my family car before that, even some of the time we spent on the road, and that was, racing the car, washing the car, maintaining the car. Of course, with help, my younger sister, Carly, is an incredible worker. We had another crew guy that was part of that. And then my family's also heavily involved, my mom and dad, and, whether it's driving the rig or keeping the team fed. Like there's so many things that we show, but also more that doesn't get seen. So I feel like I can definitely say I've been on all sides of a race team, and I think that's a great experience for me to have, because some people don't get to be on all sides, and it's it takes a village to make it happen. But specifically the Outlaws, they're the best. There's a reason why there's only so many guys out there, because it really is. It's you take how hard you think it is, and it's even tougher. You're traveling thousands of miles, you're spending time away from family and loved ones. You're either running really good, or it's easy, I think, out there for your confidence to get knocked down. And you even see some of these guys that are really talented race car drivers struggle, just because, there's so much going on. And, like I said, what it takes to be the best. So that's where for me, like, I gained even more respect for guys like Donnie Schatz and Brad Sweet, and the guys at the top that can do it consistently. And my teammate, Logan Schuhart, been out on the road for years, and, they can put the bad nights behind them really well and move on and just take it for what it is. And, kind of ride the roller coaster that's the World Outlaw Tour. And then also all the other people out there, the officials, the crew members, realistically, almost, they have to work the hardest, so there's so many positions. It's not just us, 15 drivers that are doing it full time or whatever. There's every aspect of it. And so it's really incredible to see in person, and even better that I got to be a part of it, and hopefully I'll get to be a part of it more in the future.
Well, I don't think it can be overstated at all that you've really changed the face of sprint car racing, and certainly with the likes of you and Thomas Meserole and a few other places, drivers that have got these YouTube channels. It's a great insight in behind the scenes of dirt track racing. AJ, you've spent a lot of time in America. You've watched a lot of sprint car racing. You get to see these guys up close and personal, and it's what Tanner's talking about seems to be about right. Even for our local guys here, everyone just works hard, they pitch in, they make things happen, and everyone's helping everyone out.
Oh, absolutely. I think the first thing I'd say is the first time that I saw Tanner's YouTube was Cycleland Speedway 2018, when he was running the Outlaw karts. And a couple of days later, we're watching this coverage, and I'm thinking, hey, this is good. And Tanner, what you've basically done is you've revolutionised the media coverage. You've put everyone in the driver's seat, and at times you've shown us the good, the bad, and the potentially ugly of it. And it's really easy for race fans to rock up, pay their $20 or $30 to sit there in the grandstands and think that it's exceedingly glamorous. But I've also been close enough to the action to know that the guys are out there, they're in the car washes at 3 or 4 in the morning while the drivers are actually trying to catch up a little bit of sleep and so on. But I've got a huge amount of admiration for Bobby Allen, because when you look at it, he is the last of the original Outlaw guys who's still got that hands-on involvement. Steve Kinser's essentially gone from the scene. Sammy Swindell, he's running sort of essentially minor league stuff. Wolfgang's gone. Ferkel's pretty much you know, they go pay to go and watch the races. But how old school is Bobby Allen? You know, we've heard the stories of them sleeping on the side of the road to save a few bucks.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think everybody in this world would benefit if they could spend 24 hours with Bobby Allen. It's really all the stories you hear, everything. It couldn't be more true. And I think the nickname, the original outlaw, it doesn't fit anyone better. Bobby's a good dude. He's one of the sharpest people I've ever met. You know how much he puts into shark racing, and shark racing is where it is today because of him. Obviously, there's been other people that have helped add to that, but it's really incredible. Like I said, from every part of it, he really makes the 1S, the 1T, the 1A, like he keeps those cars going up and down the road. And all of his experience from being a driver then to owning, and just 10 years ago, him going on the road with Jacob and Logan, and he'll tell you the story of how they did it with a car each and an engine each, and they would rebuild engines throughout the season, and they would do all they could basically to make it, and how they started from that to this year winning $1 million and winning several outlaw races, and building 2 cars up to an incredible spot. Bobby really is, like I said, everything you heard is true, and he really puts, when people say 110%, like Bobby Allen puts 110% to sprint car racing. He's done that his whole entire life, and I've only known him for a short couple of months, but to me, he feels, family is a good word, and that's how shark racing is. They're a family operation. That's how they run. And Bobby Allen did it. You could say there's so many right ways to do it, but he really did it the right way and the hard way. And I don't mean that how that sounds, like he did it the only way he possibly could, and that was just to keep going, keep pushing, whatever it took. One of his sayings is, "Don't tell me I can't do it." He'll tell you that to your face. He said, "Don't tell me I can't do it, because then I'll do it," and that's what he did. So it's really, really crazy. Like I said, if everyone could spend a day with Bobby Allen, that's the experience needed.
Well, he's certainly a living legend in the sport still today, Tanner, and I'm sure he'll be passing on all that wisdom to you as well. We can't let you go before we talk about your sister Carly. You have plenty of fans here in New Zealand, and many of us were watching Carly, but she did have that terrible accident at Cottage Grove Speedway. What's the update with her, mate, and how's she doing?
Carly's doing good. She's fully recovered. It's one of those situations where, unfortunately, probably, for the rest of her life, you have the tough days, you could say, just from her injury, sore, maybe you slept wrong, whatever it may be, just because it was a back injury. But she's good. She ran a little bit this season. I think she wanted to run a little bit more, but how her schedule's played out, and then the shark racing deal, she ended up, shark racing was in a spot where they were in need of another crew member. And so Bobby actually asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you know anyone?" I was like, "Well, I happen to be related to someone that would be great help." And Carly was excited. Carly was pumped to get to learn and kind of see what it's like on an outlaw operation. So she helped them for just about every night, or most nights that I was with them. So about 20 races. She came on actually about 2 weekends after we started, but yeah, helped and then, did some racing herself. So I think this next year she's going to be racing again, and she's still kind of working on what 2024 is exactly going to look like. But she's doing great. Loves what she does. She's very mechanical. The joke I always say is she was born with the 9/16 in her hand, because she just somehow God gave her this gift of, like, she can just work on cars. She can work on cars. She can fix things. And I don't even say that to brag on her. I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. Like, it really is incredible. And I think most people in the pit area, they catch on to it pretty quick. So Carly's incredible. She's really good at what she does. And I'm, excited to see what her future ends up being and whatever she chooses to do in life. But I'm sure it'll definitely have to do with something that is, fixing or working on something.
Yeah, she's definitely very talented, and that comes through on your YouTube videos as well. Last question, Tanner. You probably know we've got Joel Myers Jr. He's been down to our neck of the woods last year, and he did very well. And we've got Brenham Crouch coming down this year. Not many of us know much about Brenham. Can you give us your opinion or your views on both of those drivers?
Yeah, so I've got the chance to race with both Joel and Brenham. Brenham's from a different part of the country, so I haven't, ran with him as much. But I did a couple weeks ago when we were in Texas, and then I kind of grew up racing more with Joel because he's from the West Coast. But two really, really good, good kids, good drivers coming up. Like I said, went door to door with both of them, and I feel like we're all kind of in a similar boat. We're upcoming drivers trying to make a imprint in the sport and win races at the 410 level. I don't know exactly what those guys want to do, but I'm sure obviously by what I've seen them do, they want to be 410 racers, and they want to do all they can and be in victory lane and work towards basically the top of the sport and like they're heading. So really cool that they're getting the opportunity to go down there. I know Joel ran really well there last time. I actually was talking about him this our summer when we got to race together a little bit, and it sounded like he had a lot of great stories and whatnot. So it's going to be cool for them to go down there. And like I said, I've got the chance to race with both of them and, had many good battles. And Joel specifically, we ran outlaw karts together and then, moved up to sprint cars together and raced in California and Oregon and Washington. And, like I said, thrown many slide jobs and had many battles. So really cool that those guys are going to be heading down your guys' way.
Yeah, well, we're definitely looking forward to both of those drivers returning. Joel Myers has got his own fan club down here already. He was virtually unbeatable last year in many feature races. And we are trying to get you down here at some stage too, Tanner. We know we're talking with the club and it would be lovely to get you down here at some stage. Certainly you've got a big fan presence down here, and maybe we can make that happen in the future. I think also you're doing some promotion for Ruapuna Speedway as well. You're going to do a couple of videos promoting these Americans coming down here.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, excited about that and definitely want to get down there one day. I remember the first time I heard about Ruapuna was when Kofoid was down there, and I remember watching a video of him running the fence at this track, and I'm like, man, that's the craziest thing, and there's thousands of people there. It seems like there's obviously a lot of sprint car fans down in New Zealand, so I would love to get down there one day. Hopefully it all kind of works out, and like I said, it's just be cool to see, not only just go race, but see the country and see the beautiful place you guys all live and call home. So one of these days we'll make it happen, and definitely Ruapuna's on my bucket list of, and high on the bucket list of, tracks to see.
Good stuff, Tanner. Well, look, you've done very well tonight. Thank you for spending some time with us. We've got plenty of fans at the track that we're very excited to hear that you might be coming on the show tonight. So we appreciate that, and we'll let you get back to your normal business today. Tanner Holmes, how good's that?
Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it? And the exposure that Ruapuna is getting from the likes of Buddy Kofoid coming here and Joel Myers and so on. And, a couple of years back, we actually started, when I say we, the Hydrolink War of the Wings, we started putting results up onto Hosheads, which is probably one of the world's biggest message boards or platforms. And when I was at the Gold Cup at Chico last year, we put up a Hydrolink War of the Wings flag, and I was blown away by how many people had heard of the War of the Wings sprint cars in New Zealand, and they generally want to talk about it, but a big chunk of that is through Buddy Kofoid coming here, and he's got a hell of a following up there, and he is still touted as one of the most likely next big things in dirt track racing. So they know about us.
And great to get Tanner Holmes on Methanol Madness. As he alluded to, we've got two Americans coming down. That's Joel Myers Jr. and Brenham Crouch. And AJ, these two American drivers will be competing in the last man standing.
Yeah, the last man standing, it's a really interesting concept. You've basically got 8 cars, and after every 4 laps, 2 drivers drop off until we get to the end where there's 4 cars left on the track, and it's a 4-lap dash for cash essentially. And Gavin Cox Furniture and Speed Art and Joinery Vision have got into this one, and how good is this going to be?
Yeah, well, it's a novelty event that we're running at the Racecourse Hotel and Motor Lodge Ruapuna Speedway. As AJ pointed out, 8 sprint cars will take to the track. And we'll quickly look at the grid draws here. And if we have a look, we've got the Americans, Joel Myers Jr. and Brenham Crouch off the back. Louise, that's going to be pretty difficult for those two guys, particularly with Brenham only looking at the track a couple of times before he's in the last man standing.
Yeah, jumping them straight in the deep end there with their first meeting of the season in New Zealand. But I don't think that it'll be too daunting for them at all. They're two very incredibly talented drivers, and Joel's obviously probably got the advantage there, knowing the track a lot more and knowing that he's already comfortable in Daniel Anderson's ride. So yeah. I don't think that the two of them will take any time at all to get up to the front and pass those cars pretty quickly. So they're going to have to. The pressure's on so that they don't get eliminated.
Yeah, if we look at that grid draw again, we've got Jamie Duff and Matthew Leversedge on 5 and 6, and Matthew Leversedge going pretty good there, AJ, after the Canterbury Championship, sustained that big sweeping slide job of Conor Rangi, so he's probably used to this kamikaze high-octane racing. That'd be two good chances as well.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, you look through the 8 contenders and every single one of them is more than capable of doing the business.
Yep. If we look at grids 3 and 4 now, and Conor Rangi's got a pretty good draw here, although he's on the inside, so it's pretty tricky to make some passes from the inside, certainly in the first lap. You've got to get your car out wider, unless you've got a dry, slick track perhaps, or a bit of grip on the inside. And the dark horse, Bailey Patterson. Now, I like Bailey Patterson. He's not scared of throwing this around, AJ, and from a fairly early grid draw, he's a pretty good chance.
Oh, absolutely, and Bailey's got a great temperament and a very, very heavy right foot, so he's going to mash the gas. There's no two ways about that.
And our grids 1 and 2, Steve Duff Jr., the gas man. I bet you he couldn't believe that he drew 1 in the last man standing. I've seen him get, I think he won a heat of the New Zealand Sprint Car Championship last year. So Steve Duff Jr. has got the pole position. And Invercargill's best, Jacob McIntyre, Louise, he's got a pretty good draw being on 2 as well.
Yeah, that front row is definitely pretty heavily stacked with those two. We know that they love to go fast. They're very throttle heavy, so I think that straight off the gas, those two will be very quick. It'll just come down to whether they like being chased by everyone else. The pressure is on for that kind of race, and I know that both of them will be happy with the $1,200, so they've just got to keep it together for the whole thing and lead it from the get-go.
Yeah, $1,200 for first. I think it's $500 or $600 for second, and whatever the rest is. Total up to $2,000 for third. So let's see how this one goes at Ruapuna. If it goes well and it's exciting and the crowd get behind it, we'll run a few more of these. And always good to have something different happening at the track on a Saturday night, AJ.
Yeah, mix it up. That's the thing, sort of like we don't like replays, and so these new things are great initiatives.
Well, we've talked about our 2 American drivers coming over to Ruapuna this season, and we've actually got both of them on the line. Welcome into the show, fellas. Good to see you, Joel. We haven't seen you for a year or so, mate. How's your world been? You've been doing plenty of racing over there.
Yeah, just been busy racing and hanging out around Indianapolis and California a lot. So, yeah, just been racing a lot and excited to get back.
Good stuff. And you happen to be living with Brenham at the moment, or he's certainly sharing the same garage with you. Brenham, welcome to the show, mate. It's the first time our fans have seen you. You've got a pretty interesting racing career, mate. You're only a young fella, and you're part of the Crouch Racing name. Tell us about your history quickly, and how the heck did you get yourself all the way over to New Zealand?
Yeah, long story short, my dad started running non-wing sprint cars, and I went through the kart ranks to the micros, midgets, and now I'm into wing sprint cars. And Joel hooked me up with Kevin Freeman, and I'm looking to come over there and have a good time and make a name over there.
Well, we know you've got some pretty good racing pedigree. I think you've driven midgets, as you've already said, and sprint cars, the 410s. What's your thoughts about coming to New Zealand, mate? I'm sure Joel told you all the good parts about coming over here. It's a hell of a way for a young fella to travel and spend a summer. Obviously, you're very keen on your sprint car racing.
Yeah, no, we've made a lot of progress this year, more so my rookie year, give or take. But no, I'm looking forward to it. Joel said, obviously the country's very pretty and everybody's super nice. So, I'm just looking to come have a good time, meet some good people, and do what I love. Good
stuff. Well, look, we'll talk to you about a few things very shortly, but we'll go back to Joel. Joel, what's your memories of New Zealand, mate? I know you're pretty shacking up with Daniel Anderson again, and you guys had to do a lot of travelling when you were here last year. Tiana out of Christchurch isn't too easy, but you must have loved it enough to get yourself back again.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of driving and a lot of, for us, we would say miles logged. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to getting back. I know we'll try and figure things out to just make it easier on us this year with not having to drive back and forth so much. So, yeah, I'm obviously really excited to get back. We actually have one more race in California left tomorrow at Merced. And, get through that and then have Thanksgiving with the family and some friends, and then head out to see all you guys.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of people looking forward to seeing both of yous, and you'll be welcomed aboard quite nicely by the Ruapuna fans and some of the other tracks that you travelled to. You did a lot of travelling last year. You went to Cromwell, I think you went to Invercargill, Nelson, and a few other places. How did you sell the idea to Brenham, mate, and how did you hook up Kevin and Brenham together?
So I think it was right before I was getting ready to leave for the first time, and Layden had been texting me saying he wanted to me to just kind of hint around to some people and see if I could get something sorted out for Brenham out there. And I just so happened to bring it up to Kevin because I kind of figured if I brought it up to him, he would know the best since he promotes series and we kind of know something. And he goes, "Hey, let me get back to you. I'll figure something out." And a couple of weeks went by, and unfortunately, Samber had gotten hurt, and I think they just decided to take this year off. And Kevin goes, "Hey, does Brenham still want to come out here?" And I said, "Let me find out." And that's just kind of how it went about. And now we get to travel over to New Zealand together, and we just spent the last couple months racing together back east as well.
Well, I tell you what, we're really excited to have both of you at the track. And tell us, for keeps, who is the better driver out of the two of you?
I honestly don't know.
I feel like I had a really good time racing with Joel.
In the Midwest together, we're definitely battling a lot. So, I mean, there's plenty of nights he beat me, and there's nights I beat him. So it's we'll definitely just have to see out. I feel like we're both in really good cars over there, and just have to get from there.
Well, we've been pumping you both up as some superstars from America, and we actually think that is true, and we're really excited to see both of you here. Brenham, if I can go back to you for a second, mate, how will you measure a successful campaign down in New Zealand?
I'm coming to I'm looking to come to compete. Obviously, I think me and Joel have a blast racing together. We did this year. I think, along with everybody over there, I think I'm gonna, hopefully get along with everybody pretty good. And, I really just want to come. I'm looking to win a couple races and obviously, be there at the end of the points chase for sure.
Well, you've probably heard this in the show earlier on. We've got you guys competing in a novelty event, the last man standing, and that's very similar to the Stoops Pursuit that happens in America. And it'll be a little tricky for you, Brenham. You will have only had 2 races, and then you'll be in this shootout format. Hopefully, you'll be able to handle that. We've put you off the back because we think you guys are pretty good. How do you handle the new tracks and new car setups? What's it like for you?
Like you said, I haven't really ran a whole lot of stuff like racetracks over there, so just go over there with an open mind. And I think me and Kevin will work really good together about getting the car dialed in and getting me comfortable. And like you said, I only have a couple races, so I really think we'll be all right. That's more so like a dash, I guess you could say, over here. So I think I've got plenty of experience with that kind of stuff, just having to move forward in a hurry and being on my toes.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too problematic for either of you guys. Well, look, fellas, thanks for joining the show. It's great to see you both getting prepared to come over to New Zealand. I'm sure Joel's explained to you it's a beautiful part of the world, and you'll really enjoy Tiana and the hospitality that Daniel Anderson's put up. And great to see Kevin Freeman really helping you out there, Brenham. And it's good for Ruapuna Speedway, but more importantly, you boys are taking on the War of the Wings as well. So you'll be travelling around the country, I believe, and you'll have a number of events before you go back home. When do you actually go home, Joel?
I believe we go home the Monday right after the title. So I believe we'll have the whole War of the Wings slate, and obviously whatever races we can fill in throughout that. And definitely looking forward to getting up to the North Island for the title race as well.
Yeah, great stuff. I think you guys will draw a crowd, and I'm sure with that experience you had in the New Zealand title last year, Joel, you'll be a wee bit sharper for it as well. Look, fellas, thanks for joining the show. Good to see you. We can't wait to see you at the track, and we'll see you when you get your big sprint cars on the track. We'll give you a big introduction, and the fans will certainly be looking forward to seeing you. And until you turn up at Ruapuna, we'll catch up with you guys later on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Well, time to move on to dirt track news, brought to us by CB Caravans and RV Centre. And Jamie Larson took out a sprint car feature, but he was racing at Gisborne in the weekend, AJ.
Yeah, Gisborne, it's a very remote track. You know, it's a lot of travel from anywhere to get into Gisborne, and for the sprint car boys, probably with the exception of Rodney Wood, might have been the first time they'd ever clapped eyes on it. And it's a tough venue. It's sort of pretty narrow and high bank, but it's a quarter-mile track and a little bit tight too. So, yeah, good to see them spreading their wings.
Yeah, normally stock car racing at Gisborne. I think there's a couple of TQ drivers there. Dylan McGregor, I think, is registered there. He's a very good TQ driver. The official results there was Jamie Larson took it out from Ryan O'Connor. Ryan O'Connor's going pretty well at the moment. And Daniel Thomas, our 1NZ driver, he took out third position. Well, our very own modified sprints travelled down to Cromwell, and it was Jaden Fraser taking out the King of the South series from Harry McIntyre and Courtney Jones. Gus Dawson, our rookie driver this year, blew his motor up, so a disappointing end to his weekend. And there was a few cars that actually got themselves upside down at Cromwell, so much so that they had to cancel their Invercargill leg. So let's see if the modified sprints can get themselves up and running and back at Ruapuna. Methanol Madness Sprint Week has another announcement. We've already indicated that it's now over 4 nights, and the prize money has actually got up to $100,000. So unheard of. Ruapuna Speedway putting $100,000 up for the Methanol Madness Sprint Week, and of course that's from April 5th and 6th. There's also a meeting on the Thursday, which is the 11th of April, and our final meeting on the Saturday, the 13th of April. Make sure you put that down in your calendar. The Access Man Midget Car Championship is on the 3rd and 4th of February, and we can expect 40 of the best midget car drivers throughout the country competing down here at Ruapuna. Peter Honeybell has started his American racing campaign. Louise, anything to report from Peter's team?
Yeah, there's only a few meetings left now. It's gone really quick. They've been there for almost 2 weeks. He hasn't had the most successful campaign, but I know that the laps are what really counts, and the experience is what matters to that team, and getting all of that fun memories under their belt. So I think so far his best result has been a 10th in the semi the other night. But obviously still a couple of nights left to go, so he can improve that result.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that'll take all that experience. We must remember he is an ex-1NZ midget car champion here, so he's certainly got the talent and ability, and I'm sure that'll sharpen him up quite nicely for the midget car championship. The Yanks are coming. We've already talked about it. Brenham Crouch and Joel Myers Jr. We've just seen an interview with both of them. They're on their way to Ruapuna Speedway. We can expect to see them on the 2nd of December. Okay, dirt track news brought to us by CB Caravans and RV Centre. Well, time to move on to our new competition for the week. Louise, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we're running our Share and Win competition again on the Facebook page. So if you head over to Ruapuna Speedway, we've got this post up. All you have to do is comment or share on the post, tagging in some friends and letting them know that we'll be racing for our Carnival Fireworks Night on the 2nd of December to be in to win one family pass, and we will announce those winners next Thursday night on the Methanol Madness episode.
Yeah, good to see Value Cars Warehouse sponsoring the big Carnival Fireworks Night. AJ, this is a great night of racing, isn't it? And certainly it brings the families out, and we tend to get a really good crowd as well.
Yeah, we do, and you know, it is all the fun of the fair comes to the Speedway, and how cool is it when you're over the other side of the track and people are on those rides screaming like hell. It's just awesome, and you know, again, it's family entertainment. The families go along, have a lot of fun, and it's a not to be missed night at the Speedway.
Yeah, if it's one meeting you want to get to with a family, this is it, the 2nd of December, the Value Cars Warehouse Carnival Fireworks Night. Okay, time to move on to final thoughts, and I hear a wee rumour, Louise, there may be another midget car registered to Christchurch.
Yeah, after a couple of years off, we should see the return of Shane Clark and the 72 Seashore Building Midget return to Ruapuna on the 2nd. So that'll be another great addition to the SN Racing team. With the TQ stood down for the night, should be a little easier on all of us with not many cars, but once we're all back racing again, it'll be full swing ahead.
Well, that's great to see Shane. He'll finally get some laps around the track. My God, he's helped all those drivers out over the last 4 or 5 years, and it'll be great to see his midget back on the track. I'm sure he'll be a wee bit rusty. The old nerves will be tinging along a wee bit, and he probably won't get much sleep before the event, but can't wait to see you out there, Shane. Good to see the 72C car racing around Ruapuna again. AJ, it's really building up at the Racecourse Hotel and Motor Lodge Ruapuna Speedway, isn't it? This whole season looks like it's starting to get bigger and better.
Yeah, the momentum's building, and you know, when you start thinking about the big shows that there are to come, you know, okay, we've got the Value Cars Family and Fireworks Night, yeah, that's always a ripper. Then we've got a couple of rounds of the Hydralink War of the Wings, sort of on either side of Christmas. New Zealand Midget Car Championship presented by Access, man. I cannot wait for that, because Ruapuna is a track that absolutely lends itself to top class midget car racing. And I think within our field we've got some very real candidates to make an impression on the others. And you know, then we've got, you know, all these other shows, and the tail end. Look how thick that is with the BT for Mates, which is part of that Methanol Madness Sprint Week. You know, big fields of midget cars coming down for that as well. So it's going to be a really good season. You can just sense it from this distance.
Yeah, absolutely. We always used to have a couple of FISA meetings, didn't we? We wouldn't get too many. It was more like a club night, let's say, and the guys would go around. The racing was always good, but now with all of these big events, it's a great season at Ruapuna Speedway for sure. Well, look, folks, that's the end of the show. My thanks to Louise Smith, AJ Batt, Brenham Crouch, Joel Myers Jr. and Tanner Holmes for joining the show. And until next time, keep your foot up it.